into the game. As GAM is up 2-1. They are on match point. They want to move up into that upper bracket. And Quincy, I ask you again, what do you think of these drafts?
It's a little bit like last game, but not as horrible for Cerberus as it was this time. I mean, this time they at least have better late game scaling options, right? With the Cassandra not really falling off as much. I have seen Cassandra's beat Fioros in the past. I mean, it is a counter pick, but you still need to respect the early game dominance of this champion in general. And also, I think Levi on the Nocturne is like a bit of a curveball, and it could just go either way. Could just be the super stomper, and also one champion that doesn't care about the spell sheet all too much, doesn't really need the unspeakable horror anyway, and can just run her down with auto attacks to some extent. So that could work out in their favor as well. And in general, I'm not sure if this Rakan first pick blue set is really what Cerberus really hopes for in general. They have done it all game. It worked out once, but it also failed twice. And this time, at least what I have to give credit to them, I think their late game options are a tad better, with Drugford being back on the Vigo again.
Kaya does walk in, get a ward down, so they know exactly where Drakthar is starting. Not that I think that's a particularly huge surprise that they'd be pathing towards the bot lane when your top laner is Cassante, but into the bot lane we go as Artemis is in so much trouble. Already on the run, taken low, one more auto attack. He has to use his flash. Disaster for Cerberus.
Absolutely, it should be a lane that actually works out quite well for them. But this time, I mean, it is style on the Zaya, so he's back on the prominent AD carry to really make a difference here. He gets a pick that is so strong in spot lanes in general, kind of dominating every bot lane pick whatsoever in the last times, and then not opting for the Zeri to match it. On the side of Cerberus means that they just go for the Silver and want to work for these early shovings usually, but they can't just do it against Silent Sin to some extent. And this just means, of course, a very bad start for Cerberus yet again. And I mean, we have seen them in the series, but they win early game, but if they stop winning early game, they just kind of fall apart. So this is looking rough for them already.
Yeah, we got a picture-in-picture replay there, which is a bit interesting. But yeah, it is just the chunk out. So Cerberus now going to be pretty far behind in EXP, at least for Artemis. Funnily enough, we might now see Ron OP able to hit level 6 for a potential Herald fight.
It might be, because he got a little bit of XP right now, and there's no Artemis kind of trying to freeze his wave a little bit, as Pan already not having too much fun against the Fiora. Cassandra post nerf, I mean, I dare say. The time I saw Cassandra beating Fiora was actually before Cassandra was nerfed heavily, and now the pick kind of has fallen out of favor a little bit. It is still played in the major regions, so it is a pick we have to respect in general, but I'm not quite sure if it's a good matchup for Pan to play. He has absolutely bested Kia in the first game, where Kia, however, also came back quite significantly, so this is now also not looking too hot for them in general. I just want to see what Cerberus can do with his mid-jungle access in this game, because Ari and Vigo scale fine to the late game, but can also already start doing some damage earlier on, with Ari landing a charm and then Vigo following up all of his damage and then getting an early reset. Means that their mid lane jungle 2v2 is not that bad.
It's very true. They do spot the Nocturne as well, making sure that Levi can't surprise anybody, as he does finish his clear a little bit faster than the Viego, which is not a surprise whatsoever. But the bot lanes are safe. The junglers will not deploy anything after their first clear. Xin throws out a hook, doesn't quite land it onto Ron OP. But the Cerberus bot lane are playing this one fairly safely, given their lack of summoners.
They do. At least they do that one. I mean, they wasted the summoner spells earlier on. They need to make summoners in the early game, as we said it before, so they at least better be able to do this one, as this is Cerberus with a small deficit right now. But I mean, you gotta say, like, we might have overblown the deficit in general, right? I mean, there hasn't been anything countable for GAM as of now, but they might just go for it if they land another engage. Then going for it with the Hex Flash, of course, is able to do so. But if it's just a summoner spell, it's not enough for GAM as well, because usually want to punch it further.
In some trouble as the Boomerang Blade lands. He's got the shield up, but one more auto attack will do it, and it's first blood for Artemis. This man does not stop. Style going forward, wants one back, will get it. Does he pay with his life? Ron OP can't quite finish him.
I mean, Rakan just can't kill Zaya, right? It's just, he's too much in love for that one. Either way, yeah. Just makes sense. Either way, Artemis at least getting the 2v2 first blood. I mean, I was talking about it, right? It doesn't really countable advantage if it's just the Thunder spells, and Silver and Rakan still able to hold their own in the 2v2 in general. It was just a misstep earlier on at this time. It is actually them at least trading it 1-for-1. So with first blood reward being on server side, they can actually live with that one quite happily, as we see again how it played out. Artemis just using his Boomerang Blade, and it actually is him tanking up this dredge line, and now 1OP following up with a great entrance onto the Nautilus and then just running down this surprisingly or seemingly tanky Nautilus. And then Artemis, of course, still falls prey to the feathers of style as he can return the fire, and 1OP just can't get it over his heart, right? He can't kill his wife.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I wouldn't kill my wife. You'd never hear the end of it, after all. As
Yeah.
There was a debate of like, do you die for that? Do you go in and you give up an extra kill, but you deny a wave of XP? Maybe it's worth it, but in the end,
I think it is.
I don't necessarily think it's a huge deal. Cerberus do actually end up taking the first Drake. This is the first time in the series where they've actually gotten this first Drake. Ooh, Hook goes in. I don't know how much you want this. Style is able to pinch out Artemis, has the spell shield, manages to use it. Ron OP will finally die. Apparently, no hesitation from a wife to her husband.
Yeah, that's just a kind of life imitates art, right? Or in this case, the game kind of imitating life. Either way, not speaking about this one too much, as it is actually Cerberus kind of also selling 1OP a little bit, right? We have seen Vakta kind of escaping north and Artemis escaping south. They weren't really interested in kind of baiting him out of the situation. They kind of accepted, okay, yeah, I guess 1OP is the prize for this Drake in general. And I mean, we can speak about it about Ocean Drakes, right? It is a very good first Drake to have, kind of make these winning lanes even more winning, make slightly losing lanes less losing. And as the screen freezes for me yet again, it is actually Cerberus with the first winning move of the early game. But GAM, however, are in a small goat lead and they are scaling well.
Yeah, and they want Drakthar. They've caught him. They've frozen tombed him. They've killed him. Our Discord feed is having issues, so I'm casting off the Twitch stream.
Okay. Yeah, but like, why do you know this? You're so smart, Carrix.
I just predicted it. I'm that familiar. Down on the bot side, we do have another scrap boomerang blade missing from Artemis. Will mean Style survives, but Cerberus really taking control on the bot side.
They do, and Style, despite not dying, still just has to reset for this one, so it's still some gold mid-game. And Zen actually getting caught out, and 1OP just barely surviving, but there's a lot of control for the Cerberus bot lane. Good start for them, and Artemis now finding his groove, getting a huge CS lead on his own. Drakthar didn't help him whatsoever in this lane. Drakthar actually having a bad early game this time, with dying with his flash available, and him using it and still dying. But I mean, Artemis and 1OP, after this early game slip up, are performing right now.
Kiaya pushed under tower by Pun. That is a fairly even lane, all told, though. As really, it is sort of a map split at the moment. The top side of GAM, or not so much the top laner, but mostly the jungle and the mid matchup is going quite badly for Cerberus. But their bot lane is in a very strong position.
They need to be. It's a bit like Winter Cerberus that won the title back then in the Mickey Mouse split, by actually being able to get the title off the back of Artemis absolutely destroying every other Vietnamese ADC, as Cerberus is starting off this Herald, but there is a closing win from GAM.
Yeah, the trap is getting closed. Can they collapse on them? No. Frozen Tomb onto Drakthar. He has no counterplay to it. He just gets absolutely deleted.
Yeah, Drakthar no flash up. It's actually a sitting duck as long as he is on the Herald. It's an easy target for the side of Kasi to just lock him down with the Ring of Frost. And this is not just also the kill, but also the Herald being leashed from Cerberus to GAM. And I just hate to say it, but it's a disaster yet again.
Yeah, and into the mid lane they go. The Rakan nearly gets out, but can't quite do it. Artemis will get feared up, can't fire the damage back in, does finally get the spell shield up. Ooh, Yado thinks about it, gets punished though, and the Q from the Nocturne finishes him. Oh, Cerberus have collapsed.
I absolutely did. I mean, I don't want to call the game over before it's really over, but it's definitely looking very, very one-sided right now. Lever even sniping 1OP with the dustbin over there. Saw him coming from a mile away, but can't do anything about it. And the Cerberus not really accepting the losses. Going for the Herald, they definitely shouldn't have gone for without the preparation being done in those solo lanes to go for the priority. And also those solo lanes not going well in general is kind of a worrying trend for them, as it is Cassandra losing early to Fiora. Are we losing to Lissandra? They are getting counter picked up to some extent, but still those are not hard losing lanes in general. And Cerberus, yeah, they just definitely get engaged on where they didn't want to be, and the paranoia from Levi strikes.
Yeah, and this is a well and true disaster as Artemis just managing to survive. Yado gets too big for his boots, caught by the stasis, burns his cleanse, but still goes down. Just a tragedy. And look at the gold graph.
Levi's the richest man. It's, I mean, in solo queue we always say it, but this time it's actually a jungle div. Just him having about 1.5 as much gold as Strucker had on the Viego, and he's not really making good arguments for himself to run in the lower bracket. If we are assuming that they will lose this game, where maybe Ego might have to see his own return. I hate to say it because Strucker actually started the series off quite well, as Kati is face checking here.
Kati's in a lot of trouble. That is going to be a kill. He ults himself to buy some time for GAM to potentially secure the Drake. Oh, no, never mind. The Drake isn't even alive. What am I talking about? Ignore me. But a kill is a kill, and Cerberus do manage to fight back.
But it's a shutdown also to Wallopy, which you don't really want to have either way. I mean, of course, go to the Viego would not have been ideal, but at least better in this situation. I mean, it was between those two. And not even getting this kill delivered to the right person after the status is very rough for the side of Cerberus. GAM now still in position to start off this Drake, maybe, as Kati has respawned. He doesn't have TP, so he has to walk all the way, but he might just be able to get enough time for this one, as Cerberus is now seemingly forcing the issue, but they aren't as decisive yet. They are only slowly starting it, and Kati has all the time in the world to rejoin.
Artemis greeted for tower plates here. This is a mistake that's actually happened a few times in the major regions. I can remember a particular example with Deft over in the LCK making this mistake. You didn't come. You greeted for tower plates, which meant Dragon survived for too long, and now you don't get Dragon.
Yes, and this is a position where you definitely want to get this Drake self-stack win condition, because this is like the one thing that's still going in your favor right now. And now GAM also equal that, because currently right now they are not having any real weak points so far. And Cerberus, just like last game, not really finding an angle. I mean, it's not as disastrous as last game was, but it might just look this way 5 minutes later on, depending on what Levi can really focus with his paranoia in these next few minutes, with the next few casts that he can go this way. He's also going the Strikebreaker Nocturne way, which is of course the usual way you are going right now, is you just focus all on utility. You aren't really a huge tank or damage carry in both scenarios, so you just want to have this pick potential, and as long as Cerberus is looking like they're looking right now, they can easily get picked apart.
Yeah, they do, and it's just so tricky for Cerberus to really get anything going, to really find a route back into the game. Pun is going to be a very tanky lad when he eventually leaves the lane, but I don't even know if he can ever leave the lane, because Kiaya isn't going to. Kiaya is just going to split push all day.
Yeah, and here's Divine Thunderer, so he's already a god and already basically full build is what the salty solo queue players would say. And Cassandra can't really match that sustain anymore, and will eventually even get chipped on by the Fiora by now, because Fiora's already past the rough point, right? The first 3 levels where Cassandra can maybe dominate the lane, and that didn't even happen either, so Pan, similarly to last game where he was playing the Olaf into, I think it also was a Fiora, right? It was a Fiora. Already having not so much fun. And this game, it might be even worse, because with Olaf you at least have this remaining ounce of kill pressure if the Fiora makes a mistake, but with Cassandra, you just don't have the damage for it.
Kiaya does get a good chunk onto Pun, forcing him out of lane. Has TP, of course, so we should be able to get back in plenty of time for that minion wave. No worries whatsoever. GAM focused around the bot lane at the moment. They want to make a play onto this tower, and Cerberus are in no real position to reply unless they do commit Pun's TP down there. Which they're not going to.
Absolutely. Yeah, they are going to. And this just now means they can at least clear those waves. You see the turret plate difference, but it's so hugely in favor of GAM. They are absolutely clearing Cerberus out of the water with this one, and it's already them just getting the power spikes, but all the mythic items being completed, with the Strikebreaker being there, Everforce for Lysandra, so she basically has an additional spell so far, while Yado is still struggling, right? And he, as good as he played the first 2 games, not really finding an angle in the last 2 games of the series, likely, as it is actually now Cerberus on the back foot yet again, and them really struggling to find anything.
It is extremely difficult, as a Herald will be spawning. Cerberus does at the moment have full control of this topside river. Can they catch Levi here? That would be pretty huge. The knockup lands, no spell shield, and Levi will be dead for the Herald. So Cerberus, just as we talk about it, do find themselves an angle as they get themselves a shutdown.
Unfathomably uncommon Cerberus W in this game, that they get this pickup and also can go towards this Herald. There's no chance to really steal as the smite is down, but GAM, considering how confident they are, they might just contest it anyway, at least look for the fight. It would be a 4v5 or 3v4 in this situation, and they are going for it.
Yeah, they're going to go for a fight here. Zin doesn't get caught by the charm. Pun should be able to play Bouncer easy enough with that all out if he needed to, which he doesn't, as Drakthar will get themselves the Herald.
They get the Herald, and I don't know how 1OP died there, especially with Flash up. This seems kind of apparent to me, but either way, trading him for the Herald probably worth at the Paranoia is coming out. This probably won't be a bit fight that they are saving.
They are going under. They want Pun. Pun flashing and not quite living. Does go down. A hook takes Zin very deep. Drakthar trying to fend them off. Will the tower survive? It will. Ooh, Levi barely does.
And it's so illegal that this dive is playable, right? Turrets are such a joke by now. This is kind of something done quite well. And Levi can just Paranoia in the 60th minute and just actually play this dive out. The Featherstorm damage even being the one that actually killed the Cassandra. It's not even that much of a damage spell in general, but just used for the safety or just the feather setup itself. And this just shows what GAM can really do with Cerberus if they want to. They are 4,000 gold up right now. Herald Charge making this a bit of a push towards this mid and tier 1 turret. But already GAM stampeding ahead, already got the first turret and will get another one in the top side while Cerberus struggles to find a full turret on their own.
Sorry, I just made the mistake of looking at chat. You guys have a great time over there. But it is a 5k gold lead for GAM as they are, very, very strong position. Mythics being completed. Style is 4-0 on this Xayah. The Hextech Drake is about to spawn, and I don't think Cerberus want anything to do with it.
Yeah, they probably don't. Hextech Drake is being taken by GAM, probably on spawn, and Cerberus not really having any chance to play gap against it. They, as bad as it sounds, probably need to give away this Drake, maybe even give away another Drake, and just hope to scale next to GAM, and even despite being outscaled, try it again at a 2-item breakpoint for the side of Artemis, maybe even the
Cerberus, I don't know about this one, guys. They're going to try and find the engage. The paranoia is there. They do manage to burst down Cardi. Who gets the dragon? It is Drakthar, and a good bit of damage onto Levi allows Artemis to clean him up. And I didn't have faith in Cerberus, but I should have backed the dogs as they get the dragon and 2 kills, Quincy.
Absolutely unbelievable that this is possible. It's just them mashing their balance and getting the first kill, then working with the reset from the Viego and actually getting the smite secure for Drakthar. Means another Drake for Cerberus, at least a little bit of a comeback fight for them. And GAM just kind of getting caught with the pants down. Carty, you'd see it in his overlay, right? He didn't even use his frozen tube, didn't use the healer team, pulled away from the spellbook. So that's definitely GAM just being caught sleeping. And Cerberus, they are not done yet.
Oh, Pun's in trouble. Going low, going down.
Yeah, going down. It's a turret in the mid lane, so at least a bit of map control for the side of Cerberus to get a little bit of in chance in this game here, as it's just still overall, of course, a GAM's game to lose, but for the side of Cerberus, at least a bit to really work with, and Punch is getting caught down. He expected to be a bit more tanky on the Cassandra, but ultimately he just wasn't, and that's the 5th kill, I think, for Style, and he's absolutely showing us that Xayah in general is broken. It's not just Artemis being broken.
Artemis is pretty broken, though, you have to admit, Princey. As
maybe after the series.
This could, oh god, yeah, maybe. Maybe, I think, honestly, if anyone's getting broken after this series, we might have to be very careful what Ego might do to Drakthar tonight for taking his spot, but we don't need to dwell on that, as this game could turn into a battle of the ADCs. Obviously, Style very far ahead in that regard at the moment. But it looks like that's where the gold is beginning to centralize. Yeah,
it absolutely is. And it's currently actually Carty, while he has a good series overall, despite getting outshined by Yado in the first games, this time him being down the power spike as he just now completed Zoda's Hourglass, just now having even more tools to really make these fights hard to play for Cerberus, having his stasis once but also twice with the Zonas and also the Frozen Tomb makes it so much easier for them to play these fights. And Artemis this game not really preparing ahead of Style. It is ultimately still GAM's game to lose, I just keep saying it, and they can also look for these traps, and also with the paranoia from Levi are able to really find these picks in the side lane if they choose to go for those ones. And so far it's just Pun yet again struggling to find an impact. We see him in the top lane just now in the mini-map as he's trying to shove the wave against Carty, but Carty's wave clear is just too good.
Pun on the run from Carty. No chance of an actual catch. But does show that Pun is really just not able to exist in the side lane. He has to run away from basically any threat, with the possibility of a paranoia Levi joining any little 1v1 scuffle.
Yeah, and he's just probably getting relegated to just be the all-out flank bot that he can maybe be if he finds a good TP ward to really TP towards and then maybe get access to the backline, maybe get style before he can use the Feather Storm. But this won't be quite easy. I mean, GAM is playing this game from ahead, so these wards will usually not be available for side of Cerberus. It will just get cleared out quite quickly. So this time GAM is slowly but surely taking control of this game yet again, despite having this small fumble around this Hextech wave that we have earlier seen. I don't expect this to be the norm. I expect GAM to play much stronger towards these waves. However, they can still just choose to give away one more Drake. It wouldn't be a big problem for them to just scale 5 minutes more into this game and then play towards the Baron. They have the silent threat with the Fiora on Kiaya over there, and they can, with her just being on 2 items and even more right now, also stacking up the Ravenous Hydra, just be in a position where he can just blow up the map a bit more wide open and just have him on the sideline while the team threatens the Baron. He would have the TP for emergency situations, but usually he wouldn't even need to use those.
You would think not, but I'm just having a looking at the items. There's actually a potential window here where Style is not a full item ahead. He's only a crit cloak ahead of Artemis right now. If they can potentially find a fight before he can reset and potentially finish that, they actually are in a decent position.
I mean, that kind of sums up how doomed it really is for Cerberus, right? He's only a crit cloak ahead of Artemis, and Artemis being the player that they are really hoping for in general, kind of gets to sum up what Cerberus is really up for, because Pan isn't really Pan v9ing this game. I mean, it's pretty obvious with him being on the Cassandra, and Cassandra being not a champion that he once was before. So Cerberus overall in a rough spot, and it is kind of like their hope that he still gets to like 3 items and more on the silver. I mean, he's going for, I think, Infinity Edge right now to really have the most damage output towards these squishy members, as we just now see what Style can do if he looks at him funny, and this is Artemis almost losing half of his HP bar. And yeah, it will just be him not going for Navois, but going for this direct auto-attack damage build, which is of course very beneficial to have the maximum amount of damage with the ricochets in the team fights, and he is maybe the hope that they really need.
And with the 2 GAM players, Kiaya and Levi, already in the Dragon Pit when it spawns, there's just no time for Cerberus to get over there. They are going to have to give this one up. Now, the objective in and of itself, not the worst thing ever to give up. It just makes it 2-2 in Dragons. That, in on its own, as I repeat myself, is not a death blow by any means. It just means oh no, hang on a minute. We'll have to talk about death blows again, as in goes the Paranoia, but it's only onto Ron OP. A lot of ults being burned onto him. It is going to get them a catch, and Cerberus doesn't try and turn it around. So despite the resources going into the support, I think they don't mind too much. Here comes the second half of the engage. They catch Pun. He does nothing in the fight. Taken down. Artemis needs to start auto-attacking. So far, doing very little. Yado has to go into stasis to not die from an ignite. And Cerberus just get routed.
Yeah, and Cerberus just doesn't have the damage, but it's just GAM forcing front to back teamfights with Paranoia, which is unusual because usually you want to dive the backline with the knockdown, but they can just easily focus 1 OP first, then go towards Pan. Nobody's really getting to hit anymore then, because Artemis needs his frontline and doesn't quite get it as long as those 2 are down. So GAM getting 2 free picks with not even that great of a setup ultimately means that they can just go for those ones as long as the Paranoia is off cooldown. And I mean, for the next Baron, for the next Drake, will just be an easy setup for them. As you will see again how it plays out, it is just actually Levi targeting even 1 OP directly over there, not really spell shading anything successfully, but just with Frozen Tomb combined, 1 OP just dies. Pan has to buy some space and actually manages to trade his life for the situation, so it will just be this one, and they don't need to respect any kind of damage, right? The turret doesn't deal damage, Artemis doesn't get to hit, so it's 2-0 plus the turret for GAM, and the fight wasn't even that great for them, so very, very doomed for the side of Cerberus. Yado also falling down very low into the stasis, and now GAM just starts off the Baron, and Cerberus has to look for it.
Yeah, I don't think Cerberus can let this one go, and they are going to engage straight in. A good catch onto Cardi, but he has the stasis. They secure the Baron. Cardi, second round of stasis with the Hourglass. And oh no, Cerberus are just getting cleaned up. They were unable to get that initial kill. Levi will go down, but that's just a consolation prize. And Pun trades his life for it. Yado on the run. Kiaya bearing down on him. They don't even care. They force him out of the fight. They don't actually need to kill him. Artemis, again, unable to have an impact.
And Adam is just being the wave clear machine, but now can maybe try to prevent the game from ending, as Yado's also getting chased on. He can't recover. Now 2 members, so this might just be the last push from GAM, maybe. The Hextech Gate chase one is of course very funny to look at, and Kati actually manages to secure the kill, which of course means that GAM maybe isn't with enough members in the mid lane to really go for the ending push, but this will be inhibitor. At least the Baron is already down, that the fight is won for GAM. They are very happy how this sequence turned out.
Yeah, and game 1 gave us some real hope for Cerberus, but this is much more what we expected coming into this series. There is a reason that most predictions were a pretty clear 3-0 for GAM.
Definitely looks to be the case, and we remember this first game, right? It was kind of Cerberus not even looking too clean in this one, and overall I think a very shaky performance from them. The thing, however, is like the most important question is if they really played overall worse or equal or better than we expected. I think actually they played kind of how we expected them in general, but the surprising part is just that they actually results-wise managed to get a single win in this situation. But I am very disappointed with how it really turned down south after this game 2, where it already looked like still a good draft from them, still a good early game from them, and then they just kind of collapsed quicker than I expected them to be.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame from Cerberus, but oh well. It gives me hope for their lower bracket run, honestly. You know, if they can play like game 1 up against a Team Wales or an SBTC, of course, that series is tomorrow to decide who will be the upper bracket of our other 2 playoff teams. So make sure you're there. As in him falls, Style taking that one. He is absolutely massive. 3.5 items on the Xayah. Does get caught out a little bit, but Featherstorm is a pretty good button. Nocturne ultimate, buying them some space. Cardi again, just baiting with his own health bar. Pun tries to go in, uses the all out, tries to dash away, can't do it. Artemis is dead. Cerberus are going to get rounded up. They kill Style just to ruin his KDA, but Drakthar is unable to get it done in the back lines. Double kill for Cardi. GAM, are they going to try and finish the game? They probably can. And
they will.
I mean, are going to push.
Wave Clear Machine is down. Adam is down. They don't need the Siege Commander in Style over there. They can still just easily go for the win right here. It is a 4 versus 1 push. 1 OP doesn't have any Wave Clear whatsoever. The Baron is still going strong for at least 2 more seconds on the side of GAM. But the next two is already down, and this will be the series.
And with that, we will be going into 3-1 for GAM as they lock themselves into the upper bracket with a dominant final game.